Today's topic is how creative expression helped me, being Molly, deal with breast cancer. And we have a wonderful presentation by our own Molly Schwartz, who really needs no introduction, followed by Michelle Mavorah, the Executive Director of Sharsheret, who will tell us about their organization. And following that, Dr. Daniela Tank-Schraga is going to instruct all of us on how to perform a self-check breast exam, which we all should be doing regularly. Molly is a 5-year breast cancer survivor who currently serves on the Florida Sharsheret board, where she brings awareness of what one of the leading Jewish cancer organizations does. In 2020, she was honored as a Sharsheret champion for all of her work for the organization. Molly is an artist who has exhibited at Broward Art Guild, the North Miami Beach Public Library, and other curated art shows in the South Florida area. During her treatment, she figured out how to transfer her feelings about her cancer treatment onto canvas. She created 3 paintings called her Cancer Series Journey based on her diagnosis and treatment. She hopes her paintings will help women think about this disease and its treatment and how it impacted them. And without any further ado, our Molly.
That was beautiful. Thank you for all of you for coming out on Hanukkah. First, I want to talk about what's going on in Israel, which I'm sure is paramount in everybody's mind. The people of Israel lived through a moment of pure evil on October 7th. The reports of atrocities are seared on our souls. Parents killed while trying to protect their children. Young people massacred while attending a music festival. Entire families slain. And so many more harmless individuals who were wounded or taken hostage. It was one of the darkest days in Israel's history. This year, during Rosh Chodesh Tevet, we are celebrating Hanukkah, which takes place during one of the darkest times in the calendar year. The sky is turning black, yet we have the power to light up the night. There are times in life that we feel as if we are immersed in challenges that take our breath away. It is easy to fall into despair. The Hanukkah lights call out to us, and we respond. The moon is another central symbol of light in Jewish thought and a source of comfort and hope. The very first commandment given to the Jewish nation while they were still in Egypt was to base the calendar on the moon. Rosh Chodesh, the start of the new month, symbolizes renewal. Just as the moon disappears at the end of each month, but returns and grows to fullness, so too the Jewish nation can rise from oblivion and restore itself to past greatness. Take the moon's luminous glow in the night sky. The moon has no source of light of its own. Instead, its beautiful glow reflects the sun's brilliance. So too with the Jewish people. Like the moon, we reflect an important source of light, God and His Torah. Reflecting this dazzling light is an honor. Like the moon, we receive beauty and then send it back into the world through our actions and through our very being. The Jews are identified as a people of the moon, while other nations are identified with the sun. Did you know that the sun in Western civilization is connected to power and conquest, but the moon represents dependence and interconnection. There is a midrash where it is written, and God made the two big luminaries, and yet it first says the big luminary and the small luminary. So you have to wonder, if they are both big, why is one later called small? The moon said to the Holy One, blessed be he, Master of the world, two kings cannot share the same crown. So, if that's the case, he said to her, go make yourself small. In the Kabbalistic tradition, the moon is associated with the women, and this midrash is also often understood to refer to male-female relations. The sun bestows light while the moon receives it. The male prototype is the mashpia, or the bestower, and the female prototype is the mikabel, or the receiver. The interaction that takes place between them, the two forces, is ideal when they are in balance. When the moon starts to diminish, it is amplifying the moon's feminine aspects of being the receiver. As the moon shrinks just to a thin crescent, we don't always appreciate what the moon can receive in this diminished state. But when the moon dispels the least light, we can draw closer to Hashem. Just like the moon, as women, we are able to shine bright or to reduce our light on a monthly basis. As women, we connect to the energy of the moon and we can tap into our intuition and find what speaks to us. After having raised 4 children, and after having walked each of them to the chuppah, I felt a sense of well-earned freedom. I thought about what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I had entered menopause, which for me was a time of rediscovery, a ritual rite of passage into an era of wisdom, freedom, and personal power. I think that women today are lucky to be able to live longer. Menopause can be a time to reflect on our lives, a time to become more whole and complete. So I decided to begin painting in the fall of 2004. I took some painting classes at my local JCC, and I honed my skills as an artist, painting landscapes and still life, and also my grandchildren's portraits. It was a great way to express my creativity. It was also healing, because while I was painting, I experienced a flow state that took me out of my body and into my soul. On Labor Day of September 2017, I found a lump in my left breast. My whole world stopped. I ran to my doctor, who told me it looked like I had a cancerous tumor, and told me to make an appointment to get a biopsy. It turns out I was diagnosed with HER2-positive breast cancer, which tends to grow and spread faster than other types of breast cancer, but luckily it is easier to treat since the discovery of Herceptin, an immunotherapy drug, which was discovered in 1999, and the rates of women with this type of cancer has significantly decreased. I had a stage 2 tumor graded between B and C that had spread to several of my lymph nodes. I began my first chemo treatment in New Jersey right after Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. I had a heightened sense of my mortality as I thought about the expression, who shall live and who shall die. After my second treatment, I flew down to Florida and continued treatment there. I received 5 rounds of chemo over 3 months. Two weeks later, I had a lumpectomy, and 2 weeks It took 2 weeks to heal from my surgery, and then I received radiation treatment for 6 weeks. I want to strongly encourage every woman to please make sure that you schedule your mammograms regularly. At first, I kicked myself for not getting my mammogram over a period of 3 years, that's right. I found out that cancer cells are always circulating in our body, but when our immune system is down or compromised, one cell can grow quickly into a huge number of cells in a short period of time. Your body could have a tumor growing for many years before it is even detected. I became very introspective during my chemo. I was quite sick and spent a lot of time in bed. I didn't know how I would make it through, and I prayed that I would survive the chemo. I had to slow down and really think about my cancer and how it impacted and affected me. Because of my experience, I believe that women need to put themselves first when they receive a breast cancer diagnosis. They need to think about what will help them to deal with their protocol and to be able to give themselves the space they need where healing can take place. Thinking about painting images that related to my breast cancer helped me to work through my symptoms of depression and anxiety. The image just started coming to me. I didn't know what to make of them at first, but they seemed to be coming out of nowhere. Then I remember hearing stories of how musicians and writers felt when they were creating a new composition or story. It was as if an outer source was helping them to compose that piece of music, or write that piece of literature. They were the channel, and they had to be receptive and willing to receive. I decided to write down what I was imagining, and explore where these images would take me. I wondered, could this be like the waning of the moon when it retracts? When we as women can listen to our inner voice and bring out ideas that have meaning to us. Do you know that research has found that art therapy accesses healing faster because it forges a deep mind-body connection? Art helped me to give voice to my thoughts, to create something concrete and representational that reached into the depths of what I was experiencing. I know that being diagnosed with cancer made me a true artist, and I wanted to explore what my cancer journey meant to me and to share my feelings with others. Having experienced what I felt was one of the lowest of lows in my life, similar to when the moon ebbs down to almost nothing, I had to use all my strength and willpower to connect to something greater than myself, to be able to climb out of that black hole, to bring out some of the inner light that resides within me, to share what I learned about my reflective light so that could be shared with other women going through the same battle. So after my protocol was completed and I had gained back some of my strength, I began painting what I call my Cancer Journey series. This series came out of the images that I saw in my mind's eye while I was undergoing chemo and radiation. They are visual journals of my self-expression. My first picture is called Bitter Pill. It depicts how I felt about my chemo treatment. I began to feel the effects after my first round of chemo. These feelings took hold of me and made me feel alien in my own body. I had an acrid, metallic taste in my mouth, and I felt this intense need to spit out my saliva repeatedly. Each time I spit, I said the word bitter. And if you could see, it says bitter pill on it. It's just very faint. It affected the way my food tasted for months. I began researching the types of chemo drugs I was prescribed. Taxotere over here is a chemo drug. It's derived from plant alkaloids and different plants. I thought of an image of myself sitting in a meadow filled with fragrant foliage. It took me out of my chemo self, if just for a moment. Carboplatin, the one you see on the other side, my other chemo drug, is derived, get this, from mustard gas derivatives using Agent Orange and metal salts. It causes hair loss, weakness, and abnormal blood counts. I wanted to visually show the difference between these two chemo drugs, and I painted my clear chemo over the bitter pill to depict the actual drip of the chemo. These drops also signify the tears of the women who have to undergo chemotherapy. My next picture is called The Dream. I found my tumor in a dream. That's right. On the Shabbos of Labor Day weekend in 2017, I decided to lie down and I fell into a light sleep. During my dream, I heard a baby crying nonstop. It was my 1-month-old granddaughter. My daughter and her family were visiting. And in my muddled dream state, I thought I had to go and breastfeed the crying baby. I hadn't nursed my children in decades, but I woke up feeling a tug, a pull on my left breast, as though it had filled up with milk. I was very disoriented, wondering what was that strange dream about. Then I felt my breast and reacted with shock. I felt a mass, which turned out to be a cancerous tumor that measured a little over 1 inch according to the MRI. People told me that my dream was a blessing in disguise from God. I have subsequently learned that dreams related to medical issues are very, very vivid, so don't discount them. The dream is somehow more real, and they are likely to recur. Fast forward 6 months later, I was getting ready for my first radiation treatment. It looked like an MRI machine with a round opening from front to back. I was told to hold my hands together up above my head. It was just 2 weeks after my lumpectomy, and I was still stiff and sore in this very unnatural position. I also have a history of claustrophobia that you can imagine. I panicked the first day of radiation. I couldn't see myself making it through my treatment, where I had to lie still for 11 minutes at a stretch, but for me, it felt like an eternity. My painting depicts a young woman who is nursing her baby in the hospital. To her left is a frailer, older woman facing her first radiation treatment. There are some electrical currents that flow out of the radiation machine toward the nursing mother, a cry for help. The nursing mother has plenty of milk and feeling compassionate to the older woman. Her breast bends, if you see, there are spurts of milk, one of them landing on the older woman's lip, a symbol of connection, a message that no matter what stage we are in, we as women have incredible strength and endurance. Our bodies are truly miraculous. I felt a calling to paint this picture I named a healing. I completed my cancer treatment shortly after Passover, a time of reflection. So in a sense, I was experiencing my own exodus, a journey from a tight place of constriction to a vast, expansive universe. This picture conveys a universal message that God will hear our prayers and heal us from our pain. It is a portrayal of a woman on a journey, caught in a dark place where she prays to God and is answered. Her soul flies up into the heavens. She feels redeemed. When I was told that I had a 90% chance of a 5-year life expectancy. After my cancer protocol was over, I was thrilled. But then I thought about, what is true healing? What does it mean? Is it only a manifestation of your physical health during a specific time and place? Or could it mean something deeper? I again turned to the story of the Israelites during the Exodus and how they wandered through the desert for 40 years. As a people, they were transformed from slaves to a free nation. Their spiritual DNA was changed forever. I wonder if a person can change their spiritual DNA after going through a harrowing experience. Some people call it the dark night of the soul. My cancer represented that dark night, a journey that included immense upheaval. Dr. Bernie Siegel, a former pediatric surgeon who became the best-selling author of Love, Medicine, and Miracles, believes in a mind-body connection. He tries unraveling the emotional distress of people who have cancer, which Siegel says strongly contributes to their physical maladies. He helps his patients interpret what their cancer means to them. And he says one of the primary differences between healing and curing is that healing is all about the spirit, whereas curing is everything about the physical. Healing comes from a deep spiritual interconnection with oneself, while curing comes from an outside source, something that is done to you. He shares his experience of seeing patients who, after enduring their grueling treatments, have a zest for life that they never experienced before. They have grown from their experience to realize that life is a gift, and for as long as they are on earth, they will do the things they didn't allow them to do before their diagnosis. I personally felt a level of gratitude as if a heavy weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I found another source of help through Sharsheret, a Jewish breast cancer organization that helps women and their families to deal with cancer. How many of you have heard about Sharsheret? Very nice. They were my support, and a social worker was assigned to touch base with me on a regular basis. Other women, peer-to-peer callers, reached out to me. I received gifts that helped me deal with my physical and emotional discomfort. I align with Sharsheret's mission and how they support women emotionally, spiritually, and physically as they undergo the fight of their lives. It is an amazing resource for women to have. With Sharsheret's help, I curated an art exhibition at the Miami Beach JCC during Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October 2020. It features my paintings and the artwork, of approximately 12 women artists and one writer from Gilda's Club who had either experienced cancer themselves or knew of friends and family who had. Artists shared what their paintings, their crafts, and writing meant to them on a virtual online program. I have shown my work in many venues like local South Florida libraries, art guilds, and performing arts centers. I want to reach out to other women undergoing breast cancer and give them an opportunity to tap into their many feelings. Feelings that it can include anger, rage, sadness, grief, and denial related to finding out they have breast cancer, or then to feelings of joy, peace, wholeness, letting go, and letting God into their lives when they come to terms with their illness. And as women who are dealing with breast cancer, we can open up to a power greater than ourselves. And when we do, we can become greater and endure more than we ever originally thought was possible. Now, thank you. Now I would like to introduce Michelle Mavorah, the Executive Director of Sharsheret in Florida.
And a half now, and this was by far one of the most beautiful and authentic personal journey stories that I have heard, and I have heard a lot, unfortunately. So thank you, Molly, for sharing so eloquently and beautifully and combining some of the medical terminology in a way that everybody can understand, but also just so from the heart. I also want to thank the Young Israel Women's Society and everyone. This nearly 10 times the rate of the general population, making members of the Ashkenazi Jewish community significantly more susceptible to hereditary breast cancers. Since men and women are carriers of this dominant genetic mutation, there's a 50% chance that a carrier will pass it down to their children. Other gene mutations to be aware of are ATM, CHEK2, PALB2, and those associated with Lynch syndrome. Being a carrier of the BRCA1 or 2 mutation could put you at risk for cancers, not only breast and ovarian, but male breast cancer, prostate cancer, pancreatic cancer, colon cancer, uterine cancer, and melanomas. I want to stress to everybody, especially those of the Ashkenazi Jewish descent, how important it is to know your family history for both men and women. Ask parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, any living relative, were there any cancers in their family? At what age? What kind? If you have questions about your own family history or what to make of the information you gather, Sharsheret is here for you, and so is our genetics counselors. So who is Sharsheret and what role do we play? Does anyone know what Sharsheret means in Hebrew? Chain or link in Hebrew. So what role are we? Sharsheret has social workers all around the country and genetics counselors that are here solely to answer questions, share resources, make connections, and offer support. We offer direct support through some of our national programs meant to help women and their families navigate the cancer experience. They meet needs of caregivers, those living with metastatic disease, those concerned about genetics, women facing the cosmetic side effects of chemotherapy, families with young children dealing with cancer, survivors, and much more. We also offer need-based subsidies for non-medical things that bolster self-esteem, such as wigs, 3D nipple tattooing, and cold capping to preserve hair during chemotherapy. Sharsheret provides almost $1 million a year in financial assistance to women all around the country. Our programs are accessible by phone, email, Facebook, live chat, and our community partners, like this, who provide in-person local support around the country. Side note, we had a pilot program for Israel that was planned on October 17th. Our CEO is due to go there and start a pilot program. It's since been postponed, but we are going in March, and we will start a program there. It's more important now more than ever. Locally, we educate and raise awareness in Jewish communities at large about genetic predisposition that raises risk for cancers, including breast and ovarian, and how to be proactive and protect your health. Now, only 10% or 10 to 20% of breast and ovarian cancer is hereditary, so it's imperative that you remember that 1 in 8 is the number for those who will be diagnosed with breast cancer, and 1 in 72 will be diagnosed with ovarian cancer. This means, like Molly said, we need to pay close attention to our bodies. We need to commit to screening plans that are right for you and to live our healthiest daily lives. Eating healthy, moving more, reducing stress, all of these are essential to reducing our risk. Our hope at Sharsheret is that each of you walk away today, especially hearing Molly speak, empowered to pay attention to your own health and your own body. Like many of you, I am very busy, and I know how hard it is to put my own health first. but today we can leave and take this awareness into action. Pick up the phone and schedule your annual screening if you haven't done so. Ask other family members about your cancer history. Talk to a genetics counselor at Sharsheret or one of your local hospitals, and consider genetics testing if it is right for you. Most importantly, if you're looking for support and you have questions, know that Sharsheret is here for your loved ones who are facing cancer or hereditary risk for cancer. And all of our programs, services, questions, phone calls, everything is completely free of charge, confidential, and individualized. Thank you.